Hi guys, my name's Llama and today we are continuing our series looking at 5 slightly less obvious reasons to play any given class in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Today it is the turn of the Paladin. So let's dive right into it with my 5 reasons as to why I think you might want to consider Paladin for your journey up into Northrend. So the very fact that it's Wrath of the Lich King that we are talking about and we are heading up to Northrend to fight the Lich King is a reason as to why we are going to want to be a Paladin, and that is because he is of course the Lich King, i.e. the king of many undead minions. And your toolkit as a Paladin is designed for killing the undead because of course that is what Paladins are meant to do in the form of their class fantasy. Now, when it comes to class fantasy, I do generally put this on the list because it's important to a lot of people, but I do put it quite low for a lot of people, as it is something that not everybody cares about. But if you are somebody who cares about the story that you are playing through, and certainly those of you who do like RPing and things, then the fact that you're going to be a Paladin up in Northrend fighting the Lich King could not be more thematically fitting if it tried. This leads nicely into point number 4 as well, because while we were talking about the thematics of fighting the undead, there is also the class mechanics of fighting the undead. With, just for example, Exorcism or Holy Wrath in the Paladin's toolkit, you have a lot of buttons that are uniquely powerful but also specifically for fighting against demons and undead, and in an expansion that is essentially full of undead, you're going to be getting a lot more out of these abilities than you have done in previous expansions. While there was quite a lot of demons that you were able to fight in the Burning Crusade, it's nothing compared to the amount of undead that you will be fighting in Wrath of the Lich King, meaning that you're finally going to be able to make the most of those buttons that might not even be on your hotbars, never mind actually attached to keys. So, time to open up the spellbook and think about where you're going to put these buttons. Now, in at number 3 is the reason that any of us actually play WoW whatsoever, and that is loot. More specifically, what's better than your general loot that you can get is legendaries. And I know a lot of people are saying in the comments from my previous videos that legendaries aren't something that everybody's going to be able to attain, and that might well be true. But you do have a better chance with a Paladin than with most, given that they are going to be eligible for both of the legendaries of this expansion. Whether you're going to want to try and get Shadowmourne as a Rep Paladin, or Valanya Hammer of the Ancient Kings as Holy, you have a spec that is built to use both of the legendaries, and both are incredibly powerful, as well as also being realistically attainable for a Paladin. Of course, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get your hands on them, but the very fact that you're able to try is a selling point on the class for me, and possibly for many of you as well. Now, in our penultimate spot, I actually have an interesting one because it's not so much a reason to want to play Paladin as much as a removal of a reason why a lot of you previously may not have wanted to play Paladin. And that is that their buffs are finally going to be made raid-wide. This is going to make applying Paladin buffs a considerably easier task, possibly even to the point where you no longer need to automate it through add-ons and decide with the other Paladins who's buffing what. It's all going to be much more streamlined because it's no longer going to be on a group by group basis as well as a class by class basis, because now you can buff the entirety of any given class in the raid with a single click. Now, of course, this isn't going to be a particularly game-breaking change, but it is certainly going to be something that's going to be a massive step up in terms of quality of life, and that for me is a big reason to play or to not play a class. So I can only assume that it is for you guys as well. And finally, in the top spot, continuing this trend of quality of life, is going to be with your individual personal buffs, most notably in the form of your seals. Now, the big reason I've been putting off playing Paladin for the longest of times is because the mechanic of having a seal that I put up on my weapon, and then I have to judge it, which gets rid of it. I have to reapply the seal. The judgments and the seals don't align in terms of their cooldowns. It's horrible. I find it very messy. I don't like it. It's not a gameplay loop that I find particularly engaging. This is going to change because all of those pesky very short-term seals are now going to be turned into 30-minute buffs, and your judgment is actually going to be transformed into 3 different forms of judgment that each have differing effects, meaning that you will no longer have to worry so much about what seal you have on active to get a certain effect when you judge, because that will be dictated by the judgment spell that you use. so seals simply become 30-minute buffs with differing effects that you can alternate between as and when you please. This for me is an absolutely massive change and means that I'm going to find the gameplay a lot more intriguing on the character of the Paladin, as well as also opening me up to expand my skills so that I can perhaps use a bit more of my other buttons that are available within my toolkit without having to worry about slotting them in around my seals and judgments every other global. But that's going to about wrap it up for this video, guys. I do hope you enjoyed my pick for the 5 reasons to play Paladin that are slightly more obscure than simply looking at the numbers, as that is what we aim for in this series. Please let me know down below if you think that I have picked some good reasons out. Maybe you've got some reasons for me that I have missed. Either way, I hope to see you in the next one when we will be taking a look at the Mage. But for now, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.